Okay, let's have a look at percentages, guys. So this is going to be a lesson on percentages. To follow along with this lesson, it is very important that you have this worksheet open. So we're going to be going through all of the questions on this worksheet. So you want to be following along with me. So starting off with some basic percentages. How do you find percentages? So for example, I'll do two of these examples. Find 10% of 200 and find 150% of 260. So the easiest way to calculate percentages is just, first of all, to always find 1%. So for example, for one part A, I want to get 10% of 200. So the first thing you should do is get 1%. So you divide 200 divided by 100 and you get 2. That represents 1%. All right, so 2 is 1%. So then to get 10%, you would just multiply that by 10. So 2 multiplied by 10 is 20. All right, and that's your 10%. So 10% of 200 is 20. So divided by 100. So basically what did I do there? I divided by 100, then I multiplied by 10. So divided by 100 to get 1%, multiplied by 10 to get 10%. I'll do one more example anyway. I said I'll do 150% of 260. So 150% of 260. So first thing is divide by 100 to get 1%. So 260 divided by 100 is 2.6. That represents 1%. Then I'll multiply my 1%, my 2.6, by 150 to get 150%. And you get 390. So 390 is 150% of 260. So there I divided by 100 to get 1%, then multiplied by the desired percentage. Okay, so that is an introduction into how you're going to do question 1. So what I want you guys to do now is go through all of question 1 and keep an eye on the solutions. All right, the solution set is there for you as well. So check your solutions to make sure you're getting them right. So pause the video now. Go through all of question 1, and after you've done question 1, unpause the video and we'll talk about the next couple of questions. So now we're on to the word problems involving finding percentages. So I'll do an example for you. Okay, I'll go through question 2 here. There are 600 students in a school. 65% of the students play sports. How many students play sports? So basically what we want to do here, guys, is we want to get 65% of 600 basically. So the question here is really just telling us to get 65% of 600 because 65% of the 600 students play sports. So once again, 1% first of all. That's going to be 600 divided by 100, which is 6. So 1% is 6. So then 6 times 65 will give me what 65% is. So the answer here is 390. So 390 people play sports. 390 play sports because 390 is 65% of 600. Okay, so what you guys should do now is you should try questions 2 to 6. All right, try questions 2 to 6. I've actually done question 5 and 6 for you, right? That's in the video that you're watching right now, but you try them first. So pause the video right now, try questions 2 to 6, and then when you unpause the video, you'll see me doing questions 5 and 6. Okay, so what about that question 5? A house was bought for $250,000 and sold for a 20% profit. What is the selling price of the house? So basically, if you sell something for a 20% profit, that means you sold it for, you had the original 100%, then you added on 20% profit. So that's really 120%. So if you're selling it for a 20% profit, you're selling it for 120%. So basically, it's like we want to get 120% of 250,000. That's what's really going on in that question. So same again, to get 1%, you just have your 250,000 divided by 100. So that's 2,500. Then to get 120%, you just multiply the 2,500 by 120. So the selling price of the house therefore was 300,000 euros. So that's how you do question 5. Okay, question 6, how did I do that? So Jim bought a car for 6,500 and then sold it for a 40% loss. What price did he sell the car? So he bought the car for 100% and sold it for a 40% loss. So he lost 40% on the sale, which means he sold the car for 60% of what he bought it for. So what did he sell it for then? What we're really trying to do here is find 60% of 6,500. That's what we're trying to do here. So once again, to get 1%, it's just going to be 6,500 divided by 100, that's 65. Then to get 60%, we just multiply the 65 by 60, and we will get 3,900 euros is the answer to question 6. That's what he sold the car for. Okay, moving along to question 7. It's still working with percentages, but working a little bit backwards now. It's telling us that 50% of a number is 120. What was the original number? Now, there's lots of ways to do this. Okay, some people like to think about it as fractions and stuff like that, but I'm going to stick with purely my percentages method. Okay, so the one I'll actually do for you is part B. I'll do part B for you. 75% of what number is 48? Okay, so what that's telling me is that I know that 75% is equals to 48. So anytime you're working with percentages, the best thing to do is always calculate 1% first. Right? So in this case, how would I get 1%? Well, I know that 75% is 48. So I'd have to take 48 and divide it by 75 in order to get 1%. So 0.64 is 1%. Then to get the original number, the original 100%, that would be 0.64 times 100. So the answer is 64. So if 75% of a number is 48, it was 64 was the number. So 75% of 64 is 48. So that's how you do the likes of question 7. So what you guys should do now is you should try all of question 7 and pause the video now. Try question 7, keep an eye on the solutions, and then when you unpause the video, I'll be moving on to the next question. All right, what about question 8 here? 23% of students in a school play video games. If 69 students in the school play video games, how many students are in the school? So this is like question 7. Basically what we're told here is that 23% of the school is 69 students. So we need to figure out what is, or 100% is how many students. That's what we're trying to figure out, okay? So same again, get 1% first of all. So just like in question 7, right? If 23% is equal to 69, 1% would be 69 divided by 23. So therefore 1% will be 3. Then 100%, the original 100% would be 3 multiplied by 100. So 300 is how many students are in the school. So that's how you do the likes of question 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and so on. So once again, pause the video right now. Try questions 8 to 12. 11 and 12 are a little bit tricky. So I will do 11 and 12, but you try them first. So pause the video now, and when you unpause the video, I'll be doing question 11 and 12. Right, so this question 11 here. A bill for dinner, including VAT, amounts to 96.80. If the VAT rate is 21%, what was the price of dinner before VAT? So what you need to understand here is that you had 100% of the dinner, the bill, then we added on 21% VAT onto that. So the bill is actually representing 121%. So we need to understand that the 96 euros and 80 cents, that is the price of the bill, that is including the VAT. So that represents 121%. We want to get the price of the dinner before VAT. We want to get the original 100%. So therefore, to get 1% once again, it's going to be 96.80 divided by 121. And that is 0.8. Therefore, the original 100%, the price of the meal before the VAT was added on, is 0.8 multiplied by 100. So 80 euros was the price of the meal before the VAT was added on. Okay, what about question 12 here? By selling a house for 364,000, Frank makes a 30% profit. What did he buy the house for? So what we need to understand is if he made a 30% profit, he bought the house for 100% of the price, then made a 30% profit. So that's 130%. So the 364,000 represents 130% of what he bought the house for. We need to find the original 100%. So same again, start off by getting 1%, which will be 364,000 divided by 130. That is 2,800. So therefore the original price of the house, the original 100% was 2,800 multiplied by 100. So he bought the house for 280,000. So that's how you do question 12. Okay, now we're going to move on to question 13 and see what happens there. Okay, so question 13 part A. If 50% of a number is 44, what is 75% of the number? So we can do this without actually ever finding the original number. We know that 50% is equals to 44. So then let's get 1%. So 1% would be 44 divided by 50, which would be 0.88. That would be 1% of the original number. And what we're looking for is 75% of the original number. Therefore, 75% would simply be 0.88 multiplied by 75. And the answer there is 66. So if 50% of a number is 44, 75% of that number is 66. All right, so that's how you do question 13. So what I need you guys to do now is try all of question 13. Same as before, pause the video right now, try all of question 13. The solutions are there for you. And when you unpause the video, I'll be talking about question 14. Right, question 14. In a school, 34% of students get the bus to school and 26% walk to school. If 102 students get the bus, how many walk? Okay, so what's going on here is 34% get the bus. And we know that 102 students get the bus. So 34% is equals to 102 students. We want to figure out how many are 26%. How many students represents 26%. All right. So if 34% is 102, once again, 1% would be 102 divided by 34. That's 3. Then we're looking for 26%. So 26% would be the 3 by 26. And that is 68, or 78 I should say. So 26% is 78, so 78 students walk to school. So that's how the likes of questions 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 and so on are done. Same again, so what you're going to do now guys, is you're going to try questions 14 to 18. So pause the video right now, try those questions and keep an eye on the solutions and all that. And then I've done questions 17 and 18 for you in this video. Okay, so when you unpause the video, you'll see me doing 17 and 18, but you try them first. So pause the video right now, 14 to 18, and then when you come back, I'll be doing questions 17 and 18. Okay, guys, question 17. So the price for television, including 25% VAT, amounts to $437.50. So that $437.50 includes the 25% VAT. So the 25% VAT has already been added on to the original 100%. So that means it represents 125%. All right. So if you've already got the VAT added on, it's added on to the 100%. So that represents 125%. What would the total price amount to if the VAT rate was reduced to 15%? So basically we're saying, what would the price be if we only paid 15% VAT rather than 25% VAT? So if you're only paying 15% VAT, then the price would represent 115%. Because remember, the VAT is added on to the original 100%. So we have 125%, we want 115%. That's what's going on in this question. So we know how to do that. So first of all, we get 1% as usual. So to get 1%, it would be 437.50 divided by 125. So that is 3.5. And we want to know what would it be with a 15% VAT rate. In other words, what's 115%? So 115% would be the 3.5, the 1% multiplied by 115. And you get 402.50. So 402 euros and 50 cents would be the price of the TV if there was a 15% VAT rate. Question 18 here, guys. By selling a car for 3,500, Timmy sells it for a 30% loss. What selling price would have been a 20% loss? So remember, if you sell something for a 30% loss, you had 100%, but you lost 30% on it. So what you really did was sell it for 70%. Alright, so by selling something for 30% loss, you're really selling it for 70%. So the €3,500 represents 70% of what you bought it for. And we're interested in a 20% loss. So a 20% loss would mean you're selling it for 80%. So what would a 20% loss be? What would you be selling it for if you sold it for 80% of what you bought it for? So same again, we have 70%, we're looking for 80%. So first of all, get 1%. 1% will be 3,500 divided by 70. And that is 50. All right. Then 80% would be 50 times 80, which is €4,000. So if you sold it for €4,000, you would have sold it for 80% of what you bought it for, meaning that would be your 20% loss. Okay, next thing, converting fractions to percentages. That is easy. All you have to do is multiply by 100. Right. So whatever fraction you have, let's say I've got part 2 there. How do I turn 3/4 into a percentage? So just 3/4 multiplied by 100 and you'll get 75%. So that is very easy. To convert fractions to percentages, just multiply by 100. So you guys can go through all of question 19. Now pause the video, get through the rest of question 19, and when you unpause it, I'll be doing the next question. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at is question 20 here. John got 35 marks out of 50 in an exam. What was his result expressed as a percentage? So all you got to do is you create the fraction first, 35 out of 50, and same again, you just multiply it by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So in that case, it's 70%. So that's how you do question 20, and that's how you're going to do all of these questions from 20 to 26. It's the same thing. Create the fraction first, like I did here, create the fraction first and then multiply it by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So same again, you're going to pause the video now and you're going to do questions 20 to 26, and I've done question 26 for you in this video. So when you unpause the video, you will see me doing question 26. Alright, so this question 26 here, in a class of 35 students, 17 get the bus, 8 walk, 2 cycle, and the remaining students drive. Outline what percentage of the students get the bus, walk, cycle, and drive. So you've got the bus, you've got walk, we've got cycle, and we've got drive. So the bus is 17 out of the 35 students get the bus. Walking is 8 out of the 35 students. Cycling is 2 out of the 35 students, and remaining students drive. So we just have to add that up. So 17 plus 8 is 25, plus 2 is 27. Out of the 35 students, that leaves another 8. So that means 8 out of the 35 students must drive. Okay? So then all we have to do is to turn those fractions into percentages. We just multiply each of them by 100. Just multiply each of them by 100 to get the percentages. And if I round the answers to the closest percentage, I'll get 49% of students get the bus, 23% of students walk, 6% of students cycle, and 23% of students drive. That's rounded to the nearest. So that takes us to the final section of the sheet. So questions 37 or 27 to 35 are all quite similar about percentage increase and percentage decrease. So these are straightforward enough. So you have some formulas, right? So the percentage increase is always the increase divided by the original value multiplied by 100. And the percentage decrease is always the decrease divided by the original value multiplied by 100. So let's have a look at an example or two here. So let's say I did question 27 here, okay? Question 27. What's the percentage increase when 30 is increased to 40? So the increase there was 10. If I go from 30 to 40, the increase is 10. So my percentage increase, you have the formula here, is the increase. So for question 27, the increase is 10 divided by the original value. The original value was 30. I started with 30 and then times 100. And then just calculator does that for you. So that's 33.3% is the percentage increase. I'll do one more example of that for you. Let's say I do question 30. What is the percentage decrease when 100 is decreased to 85? So that decrease from 185 is down 15. So the decrease is 15. So for question 30, okay, for question 30, the decrease is 15 over the original value over 100, because we started with 100, times 100. So you get a 15% decrease is the answer in that case. So same again, guys. What you guys need to do is try questions 27 to 35. Pause the video now. And when you come back, I have done 34 and 35 for you. Okay? So pause the video now, try the rest of them, and I'll finish by doing 34 and 35 for you. Okay, so question 34. A car was bought for 6,500 and sold for 4,000. What was the percentage loss? Well, it's just like a percentage decrease. So the decrease, 6,500 to 4,000, that is a 2,500 euro decrease. All right, that's 2,500 euro loss. So we put the loss, the decrease, 2,500 over the original amount, over the 6,500, and multiply by 100 to get the percentage loss. So to the nearest percentage, that's about a 38.46, so 38% loss for question 34. All right, and finally, question 35. A microwave was bought for 200 and sold for 235. What was the profit represented as a percentage? So same again, to go from 200 to 235, that's a 35 euro profit. All right, so to go from 200 to 235, that's a 35 euro profit. So the percentage increase is like the percentage profit. So it's the profit divided by the original amount divided by 200 multiplied by 100. Okay, and then we can get our percentage. That would be 17.5% profit. Okay, very good. That was a good lesson, guys. We got through a lot of questions there. If you kept up with me, well done.